Right now, in this very moment, there's a war raging inside your mind. Not with swords or shields, but with thoughts. Toxic, invasive thoughts that circle like vultures, feeding on your peace, devouring your focus, poisoning your potential. You know these thoughts intimately. The voice that whispers you're not good enough, the memory that won't stop replaying your failures, the anxiety about futures that may never come, the anger about pasts that cannot be changed. You've tried to fight them, you've tried to ignore them, you've tried to drown them in distraction, numb them with pleasure, or outrun them with busyness. But they always return, don't they? Stronger, louder, more persistent. Because you've been fighting the wrong battle, with the wrong weapons, on the wrong battlefield. 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor sat in his tent on the Germanic frontier, surrounded by death and chaos, and wrote these words: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing self-help. He was documenting his battle strategy against the same toxic thoughts that plague you today. The same doubts, the same fears, the same mental pollution that clouds clear thinking and destroys inner peace. What if I told you that the Stoics discovered a method to clear your mind so completely, so effectively, that even in the midst of plague, war, slavery, and exile, they maintained perfect mental clarity? What if the solution to your racing thoughts isn't to slow them down, but to fundamentally change your relationship with them? What if focus isn't about force, but about freedom? 1. The storm within. Your mind right now is like a snow globe that's been violently shaken. Thoughts, emotions, memories, and fears swirl chaotically, making it impossible to see clearly. Every morning you wake up, and before your feet touch the floor, the shaking begins again. The worries about work, the replay of yesterday's conversation, the dread of tomorrow's obligations, the comparison to others' success, the criticism that still stings, the mistake you can't forgive. These toxic thoughts aren't just unpleasant, they're literally rewiring your brain. Every time you indulge in negative rumination, you strengthen those neural pathways. Every time you replay that argument, you make it easier for your mind to return there. Every time you imagine catastrophic futures, you train your brain to expect disaster. You're not just thinking toxic thoughts, you're becoming them. Seneca understood this when he wrote, "Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and seeks the old." He wasn't talking about being old-fashioned. He was describing the mind's addiction to mental drama. Your thoughts crave stimulation like a drug. They feed on conflict, worry, and emotional intensity. Peace feels boring to a mind addicted to chaos. Clarity feels empty to a mind accustomed to noise. But here's what the Stoics discovered that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. The toxic thoughts that torment you have no power of their own, none. They're like shadows on a wall, appearing monstrous and threatening, but possessing no substance. They can frighten you, disturb you, control you, but only if you grant them that power. Only if you believe the shadow is the monster. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues that killed millions, wars that threatened the empire, betrayals from those closest to him, and the death of multiple children. His mind had every reason to be consumed by toxic thoughts. Yet his writings reveal a man of extraordinary mental clarity. Not because he didn't have negative thoughts, but because he had mastered the art of mental hygiene. He cleaned his mind daily, sometimes hourly, with the precision of a soldier maintaining his weapons. The first step isn't to eliminate toxic thoughts. That's impossible, and the attempt itself creates more mental turbulence. The first step is to observe them, without becoming them. Watch your thoughts like you'd watch clouds passing in the sky. That thought about your inadequacy, it's just weather in your mental atmosphere. That replay of your embarrassing moment, just a cloud formation that will pass. That fear about the future, mental precipitation that will evaporate. This isn't denial or suppression, it's recognition of what thoughts actually are: mental events, not facts. Electrical impulses, not reality. Habitual patterns, not truth. When you understand this at a bone-deep level, toxic thoughts lose their toxicity. They become what they always were, just thoughts. 2. The art of control. Epictetus, born a slave, discovered a freedom that his masters could never possess. Physical chains bound his body, but his mind remained sovereign. He articulated the single most powerful principle for mental clarity. Some things are within our power, while others are not. This isn't a platitude. It's a precision instrument for cutting through mental chaos. Right now, list everything that's troubling your mind. Go ahead, make the list. Your job security, your relationship status, your health concerns, your financial worries, your family problems, your past mistakes, your future uncertainties. Now, apply the Epictetus filter to each item. Is this within my complete control or not? The brutal truth. Almost everything on your list is outside your direct control. You can influence outcomes, but you can't control them. You can take care of your health, but you can't control whether disease strikes. You can work hard, but you can't control whether you're promoted. You can love deeply, but you can't control whether that love is returned. You can prepare thoroughly, but you can't control what happens. This isn't depressing, it's liberating, because it means that 90% of your mental energy is being wasted on trying to control the uncontrollable. It's like trying to steer a car from the passenger seat. Not only is it impossible, but the attempt itself creates the very chaos you're trying to avoid. Here's what is within your control: your judgments, your decisions, your responses, your effort, your integrity, your interpretation of events. That's it. That's the complete list. Everything else, literally everything else, is ultimately outside your direct command. When you truly internalize this, something miraculous happens. Your mind, which was scattered across 1,000 concerns, suddenly consolidates its power. Instead of spreading your mental energy thin trying to control everything, you focus it laser-like on what you actually can control. This isn't giving up or becoming passive, it's becoming strategic. It's choosing your battles based on whether you can actually win them. A toxic thought appears that calming chatropaleo or they don't respect me. Apply the filter. Can you control their respect? No. What can you control? Your own behavior that earns respect. Your response to disrespect. Your decision about whether their opinion matters. Focus there, and the toxic thought transforms from a wound into useful information. Another toxic thought: I might fail. Can you control whether you fail? Not entirely. What can you control? Your preparation, your effort, your response to failure if it comes, your definition of what failure means. Focus there, and suddenly failure loses its terror. The Stoics call this the discipline of desire. You must want what happens, whatever happens, because fighting reality is the source of all suffering. This doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. It means accepting what is while working to influence what could be. It means playing your role fully while accepting that you don't control the entire play. 3. The morning fortress. Your mental clarity for the entire day is determined in the first 30 minutes after waking. This isn't motivational rhetoric, it's neurological fact. Your brain, emerging from sleep, is in its most plastic state. The thoughts you think, the patterns you establish, the mental habits you engage in these crucial minutes set the template for the hours that follow. Yet what do most people do? They immediately flood their pristine morning mind with poison. They check their phones, importing other people's urgencies, tragedies, and opinions before they've established their own mental sovereignty. They rehearse yesterday's problems before today has even begun. They start defending against imaginary attacks from futures that don't exist. By the time they've had their coffee, their mind is already under siege. Marcus Aurelius knew better. Before the sun rose, before his attendants arrived, before the empire's demands descended, he claimed his mind. He wrote to himself, not for publication but for clarification. He reminded himself of principles. He prepared for the day's challenges. He built what I call the morning fortress. Here's how you build yours. Wake up and do not touch your phone. This is non-negotiable. Your phone is a portal through which the entire world's chaos can invade your mind. Keep it closed until you've fortified your mental defenses. Sit up, place your feet on the floor, and take 5 deep breaths. With each exhale, release yesterday. With each inhale, claim today. Now, before any other thoughts can establish themselves, plant these 3 seeds in your morning mind. First, memento mori, remember you will die. Not to create morbidity but urgency. This day is not guaranteed. This moment is all you actually possess. Will you waste it on toxic thoughts about things you cannot control? Second, premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. Briefly imagine what could go wrong today. Not to create anxiety, but to eliminate it. See yourself handling challenges with composure. Watch yourself responding to problems with wisdom. When you've mentally rehearsed difficulty, actual difficulty loses its power to destabilize you. Third, the view from above. Imagine rising up, higher and higher, until you can see your entire city, then country, then planet. See the billions of humans, all struggling with their own thoughts, their own problems, their own fears. Your problems haven't disappeared, but their proportion has been corrected. You're not alone in struggle, you're part of the human condition. These 3 practices take less than 10 minutes, but they create an impenetrable mental fortress. Toxic thoughts may assault the walls, but they cannot breach them. You've claimed your mind before the world could claim it. You've established sovereignty before anyone could usurp it. 4. The sacred no. Every toxic thought that successfully invades your mind does so because you said yes to it. Not consciously, not deliberately, but through unconscious agreement. A thought appears, I'm not good enough. And instantly, automatically, you agree. You welcome it in. You offer it tea. You listen to its entire presentation about why you're inadequate. You even provide supporting evidence from your past. You become co-conspirator in your own mental poisoning. The Stoics developed a practice so powerful, so transformative, that it can stop toxic thoughts at the gate of your mind. They called it prohresis, the faculty of moral choice. But I call it the sacred noma. It's the ability to refuse entry to thoughts that don't serve your virtue, your purpose, or your peace. A thought appears, everyone is doing better than me. The sacred no responds immediately, no. I refuse to compare my interior to others' exteriors. I refuse to measure my chapter 3 against their chapter 20. This thought is rejected. The thought doesn't disappear immediately, but it's been marked as unwelcome. It's been denied residence in your mind. Another thought, I'll never get over this mistake. The sacred no, no. I refuse to grant permanence to temporary situations. I refuse to define myself by past actions. This thought is rejected. Again, the thought may linger, but it has no power because it has no agreement. This isn't positive thinking or denial. You're not saying everything is fine when it isn't. You're saying no to interpretations that create unnecessary suffering. You're refusing to add mental anguish to actual challenges. You're declining to participate in your own torment. Seneca practiced this when facing exile. The thought appeared, "My life is ruined." His sacred no, no, "My location is changed, but I carry my virtue, my mind, my philosophy with me. Rome can exile my body, but not my character." He didn't pretend exile was pleasant. He refused to interpret it as catastrophic. The sacred no requires vigilance. Toxic thoughts are persistent salespeople, constantly returning with new pitches, new angles, new disguises. They'll dress themselves as wisdom, "I'm just being realistic." They'll masquerade as preparation, "I need to think through every possibility." They'll pose as humility, "I shouldn't think too highly of myself." Learn their disguises, recognize their voices, and meet them always with the sacred no, not with anger, not with fear, not with elaborate arguments. Just a simple, firm no. This thought is not welcome. This interpretation is not accepted. This mental path is closed. 5. The focus protocol. Focus isn't about concentration, it's about elimination. The mind that tries to focus while full of toxic thoughts is like trying to see clearly through a dirty windshield. You can squint harder, lean forward, turn on the wipers, but until you clean the glass, clarity is impossible. The Stoics understood that a focused mind is first an empty mind. Not empty of all thought, but empty of unnecessary thought, empty of toxic rumination, empty of imaginary conversations, empty of rehearsed conflicts, empty of borrowed worries. Only in this emptiness can genuine focus arise. Epictetus taught his students to examine every thought with 3 questions. First, is this thought about something in my control? If no, it's dismissed. Second, is this thought serving my virtue and purpose? If no, it's dismissed. Third, is this thought based on fact or interpretation? If interpretation, it's questioned. Apply these filters ruthlessly. That worry about tomorrow's meeting. Is the meeting in your control? No, only your preparation is. Focus there. That anger about yesterday's insult? Does nursing this anger serve your virtue? No, dismissed. That fear about potential loss, is it fact or interpretation? Interpretation, questioned and released. This isn't easy. Your mind has been trained for decades to entertain every thought that appears, to follow every mental thread to its anxious conclusion, to solve problems that don't exist, to defend against attacks that aren't coming. Breaking these patterns requires what Marcus Aurelius called violent self-discipline, not physical violence, but mental revolution. Here's the practical protocol. When you need to focus, first spend 5 minutes clearing. Sit quietly and watch your thoughts without engaging. See them as clouds passing. Don't fight them, don't follow them, just observe. Then apply the 3 questions to any persistent thoughts. Is it in my control? Does it serve my purpose? Is it fact or interpretation? Now, with a clearer mind, choose your focused target. 1 thing, not 5 things, not even 2 things. 1. The email you're writing, the problem you're solving, the conversation you're having, the task you're completing. 1. Your mind will rebel against this singularity. It's addicted to multiplicity, to juggling, to the false productivity of mental chaos. Hold the focus gently but firmly, like holding a bird. Too tight and you crush it, too loose and it flies away. When toxic thoughts intrude, and they will, don't engage in elaborate battle. Simply return to your chosen focus. No judgment, no frustration, no drama, just return. Each return strengthens your focus muscle. Each return weakens the toxic thought's power. 6. The evening cleansing. As morning determines your day's mental clarity, evening determines your mental recovery. Most people go to bed with minds full of the day's accumulated toxins, unprocessed emotions, unresolved conflicts, unexamined thoughts. They wonder why they sleep poorly and wake exhausted. It's because their mind never truly rests. It spends the night wrestling with the toxic thoughts they refuse to address while awake. Seneca ended each day with what he called a mental review, not self-flagellation or harsh judgment, but honest examination. What thoughts dominated today? Which ones served me? Which ones harmed me? What patterns do I notice? What can I learn? This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about gradually improving your mental hygiene. Sit before sleep and replay your day, not to criticize but to understand. When did toxic thoughts successfully invade? What was I doing? What was I feeling? What made me vulnerable? Knowledge is power, and self-knowledge is the ultimate power. When you understand your patterns, you can interrupt them. When you see your triggers, you can prepare for them. Then practice what the Stoics called the evening discharge. Take each toxic thought from the day and consciously release it. That embarrassing moment, I release this, it's done, I learned, I move forward. That conflict with a colleague, I release this. I'll address what needs addressing tomorrow, but tonight I release the emotional charge. That worry about next week, I release this. Next week's challenges will be met by next week's version of me. This isn't suppression, it's conscious completion. You're telling your mind that these thoughts have been acknowledged, processed and filed. They don't need to keep circulating, seeking resolution. They're done for today. Tomorrow you can engage with tomorrow's thoughts, but tonight you rest. End with gratitude, but not the hollow kind. Real gratitude for real things. The body that carried you through the day, however imperfectly. The mind that solved problems, however slowly. The opportunities to practice virtue, however challenging. This gratitude isn't about feeling good, it's about accurate thinking. It's about recognizing abundance where toxic thoughts only show scarcity. 7. The warrior's discipline. Clearing your mind of toxic thoughts isn't a one-time achievement. It's a daily practice, a lifetime discipline. You're not trying to achieve a permanently clear mind. That's neither possible nor desirable. You're developing the skill to clear your mind when needed, to maintain clarity despite mental weather, to focus despite internal storms. Think of yourself as a warrior of the mind, not fighting against thoughts, but maintaining discipline within thought. Every day you train, every day you practice. Some days you'll fail spectacularly. Toxic thoughts will overrun your defenses. Focus will shatter. Clarity will cloud. This isn't defeat, it's training data. It's information about where you need to strengthen your practice. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, still struggled daily with toxic thoughts. Read his meditations. They're full of him reminding himself of basic principles, fighting against negative interpretations, clearing his mind of poison. If the Emperor of Rome needed daily practice, why would you expect to master this overnight? The difference between you and most people isn't that you'll never have toxic thoughts, it's that you'll know what to do with them. While others are controlled by their mental weather, you'll have learned to be the sky itself. Thoughts will come and go like clouds, some dark and threatening, others light and pleasant, but you'll remain the vast space in which they appear. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "No one can hurt you without your permission." Not even your own thoughts can hurt you without your agreement. They can appear, they can be unpleasant, they can be persistent, but they cannot force you to believe them, to become them, to be controlled by them. That choice, that sacred choice, remains forever yours. Conclusion: the clear mind. As I speak these final words, your mind is different than it was when we began. Not dramatically, not obviously, but subtly, importantly different. Seeds have been planted, not seeds of new information, but seeds of remembering. Remembering that you are not your thoughts, remembering that clarity is your natural state, remembering that focus is your birthright. The toxic thoughts that seemed so powerful, so permanent, so personal, have been revealed for what they are. Mental weather, temporary, impersonal, manageable. They'll return, of course they will. But now you have tools, now you have understanding. Now you have the wisdom of the Stoics, who faced far worse external circumstances than you likely ever will, yet maintained internal freedom. Tomorrow morning when you wake, you'll face a choice. You can return to your old patterns, letting toxic thoughts flood in unchecked, starting your day in mental chaos. Or you can claim your mind, build your morning fortress, practice the sacred number, apply the focus protocol, end with evening cleansing, not perfectly, but persistently. The path to mental clarity isn't complicated, it's just not easy. It requires choosing, again and again, to be the guardian of your own mind, to be the bouncer at the door of your thoughts, to be the gardener who pulls weeds before they strangle flowers, to be the warrior who maintains discipline, not through force but through wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. In this present moment, right now, your mind can be clear, not forever, just now, and now, and now. String enough of these clear moments together, and you have a clear hour. String enough clear hours together, and you have a clear day. String enough clear days together, and you have a clear life." The toxic thoughts lose their power when you stop believing you need to defeat them. You don't. You just need to see them clearly, refuse them entrance, and return to what matters. Your purpose, your virtue, your one precious life that's too valuable to waste on thoughts that serve neither truth nor growth. The Stoics didn't promise that life would be easy. They promised that you could be strong. They didn't promise that thoughts would always be pleasant. They promised that you could be free. They didn't promise perpetual happiness. They promised something better: clarity, focus, and the unshakable peace that comes from governing your own mind. This governance is available to you, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you feel ready. Now, in this moment, with this breath, with this choice. The toxic thoughts are just clouds. You are the sky. The mental chaos is just weather. You are the atmosphere itself. The lack of focus is just distraction. You are attention itself, temporarily scattered but eternally whole. Clear your mind not through force, but through understanding. Focus not through strain, but through release. Find peace, not through controlling thoughts, but through choosing which thoughts deserve your agreement. This is the Stoic way. This is the path to mental freedom. This is how you reclaim your mind from the toxic thoughts that have held it hostage. The practice begins now, not with perfection but with intention, not with harsh discipline but with gentle persistence, not with the goal of never having toxic thoughts, but with the skill of knowing what to do when they arise. This is your path. This is your practice. This is your freedom, waiting to be claimed. The ancient Stoics lit this torch over 2,000 years ago. They've passed it to you across centuries, through words that survived empires falling and rising. Now you carry the flame. Now you know the way. Now you have the tools. The only question that remains is the one only you can answer. Will you use them? The clear mind you seek isn't some distant destination. It's available right here, right now, in this very moment. Take a breath. Release the toxic thoughts. Focus on what matters.